Hey guys, welcome back. What we're going to do now is start to add our components here. We want to add the form in the sidebar. So if we go to our source and then JS and then components in our app.js file, you can see where we have this AddNoteForm. We're just going to add in a component called AddNoteForm. Alright, and then we'll have to include that up at the top. So this will be ./AddNoteForm.js. Okay, so we need to create that file. So we're going to save it. Whoops. Alright, so what we'll do here, just to move it along, I'm going to copy the app component file and just get rid of all this stuff. We don't need any of that. Okay, we don't need this. We don't need this or that. And then we want to just change this to AddNoteForm. Same thing down here. And then let's get rid of everything in the top level div, and we'll just say form just to test it out. We'll save that, and let's go back here, reload. Okay, looks like we're having some kind of problem. AddNoteForm is not defined. Oh, we get a run gulp again. Alright. Alright, we're still getting AddNoteForm is not defined. Okay, let's check out. Whoa. Why can't I see it over here? I think I gotta refresh. Yeah. Alright, so that's saved, AddNoteForm. So in app.js, we're requiring it. Maybe I didn't have it saved. Okay, it must have just not been saved. Alright, so we know that the form text is coming from the actual component. So what we'll do now is start to add the actual form. So we're going to put, let's do an H5 here, and we'll say add a note. And we want a form. Okay, so this is going to have a div. We're going to give it a class name. Don't forget to do class name and not just class. We'll give it a row. Okay, and then this is going to be large 12 columns. I mean, you don't need to do this, but I like to have everything neatly using the grid CSS. Alright, and then in here we're going to have a label. Not a table, but a label. And let's see, we'll say note text. And we're going to end the label down here. And then we're going to put the input right here. Okay, so input type is going to be text, and we're going to say ref equals text. That's going to be the reference, and then placeholder, we'll just say enter text. Okay, make sure you put the ending slash on, and then under that we're going to have a button. Give it a class name of button, and that'll just say add. Alright, so let's just see if that shows up. I'm going to save it, make sure that this is still running. Yep. Okay, so like I've said before, sometimes it takes a second. Okay, so there we go. So now we have our form. It's not going to do anything yet. What we want to do is add our event. Alright, so we want to have a submit event. So in the form tag, we're going to say onSubmit is going to equal this dot onSubmit. Okay, and we'll create that function down here. Oops. No, this should be function. Alright. So what we want to do, let's pass in our event value here, and we're going to say e.preventDefault. And then let's do console.log, and we want to grab the value that's passed in. So we should be able to get it with this.refs.text.value. Alright, so let's go ahead and try that. Just wait a second for that to load up. Alright, so I'm going to type in test. Okay, looks like it wasn't loaded yet. Let's try it again. For some reason, the virtual machine I work in always does this. There we go. Okay, so you can see that it was prevented from actually submitting, and we're getting the value down here. So what we want to do now is we want to put this into an object. So we're going to say var note. That's going to be an object, and it's just going to have one value here of the text. So we'll paste that in, and I'm also going to add trim just to clean it up. Alright, so now that we have a note here, what we need to do is call an action. Okay, so we're going to say app actions dot, and then whatever we want to call it, we're going to call it add note, and we're going to pass in note. Alright, and that should be all we need to do for this event. Alright, now what we want to do is go to actions and then appactions.js, and from here we want to call our dispatcher. So we'll say app dispatcher dot handle view action, and then we're going to pass in here a couple things. We want the action type, and that's where the constants file comes in. So we'll say app constants dot add note, which we have to create in a minute, and then we're also going to add along the actual note. Okay, so we're sending along the action type, which is basically just an event, and then also the payload or the data. Alright, so let's go to our constants file, and all we have to do here is say add note, add note. Alright, actually should be the other way around. The quotes should go on this one. Alright, so save that, close it up. And now what this is going to do is it's going to call from the store, so we need to go to the store, and we need to add that constant down here. Alright, so let's see. Actually, before we do that, I just want to change items to notes. Alright, and then we should be able to go down here and add a new case. So app constants dot add note, and let's do console.log. We'll say adding note. Okay, so let's just test it out, make sure that this is actually being called. What happened here? Okay, so, oh, what is this? Parse error, unexpected token dot while parsing file, app actions, line 5. What? Okay, so we have a switch, then we have our case, app constants dot add note. Okay, that looks fine. Huh. Five. I'm just gonna look this over. Oh. That was a silly mistake. I didn't put the actual function here, so this should be add note. And that should go like that. Alright, and we want to make sure we also passed the note. Alright, so that should fix that. Okay, so let's try that. So reload and we'll say test. Okay, so appActions.addNote is not a function. Oh, did it not save yet? Alright, so it's calling it here, appActions.addNote, and we have it right here. Alright, let's just try again. Okay, so now we see adding note. So we're just not waiting long enough after we load gulp, apparently. Okay, so now we know that that's working. Now we also need to make sure that we emit the change before, well, after we do what we need to do. So we want to say app store dot emit, and then we're going to just pass in change event. Alright, so before that happens, we want to do two things. We want to save it in the store locally, and then we also want to save it in the API. Okay, so for the store, we're going to say app store dot, and we'll call it add note. And we want to pass along the action dot note. Alright, so if we go up here, we can go ahead and add that. Make sure you put the comma, and that's going to take along a note. Alright, and then what we want to do is just push it onto this. So we'll say underscore notes dot push note. Okay, just like that. So what that'll do is that'll add it to this, and we want to be able to have this as this notes as a state. All right, so what we'll do is create another function called getNotes. And all this is going to do is return underscore notes. All right, so now we can access this from our component. So we'll go to our app component, and up here where we see this get app state, we're going to put in notes and then app store dot get notes. Okay, and that should put it in this notes state. Now to check it in our render, let's just do console dot log, and we'll say this dot state dot notes. Alright, so we'll save that, and I'm just going to manually reset this. Okay. Reload twice just to make sure, and let's say this is a test. Alright, now you can see when we rendered this, it looked at the state, at the note state, and there's nothing there. After we submitted the form, now it's going to do it again, and you can see that it's added at this time. Alright, so it's correctly being added to the state. Now this is just locally, all right? If we refresh, everything goes away. We want this to persist onto MongoLab, all right? We want to add it to our collections here. So that's where the API file comes in. But we're going to wait and we're going to do that in the next video.